Here's the exits. Just go over the code so that you can see how to get the exits to work in the game. First thing you need to do is create the sprite. This is the red exit, so we'll call it exit 1. And we'll load that sprite from our resources. All right, so there's our sprite, nothing fancy there. And let's create the exit object now. And we'll use our sprite. The only event we're going to need is a collision event with object Koala. So let's add that. Now, we don't want the Koala to exit unless he's aligned with the room. We first have to check the alignment. Now, our grid for this game, I think our sprites are 40 by 40, so that's what we want to set this to. Leave not unchecked, and then set the snap to 40 each. Then drag on a begin block. We go and find the play sound. That's this one here. And we want to play the saved sound. And we'll keep looping set to false. Then we want to destroy the Koala. So we do that. We don't want to destroy the exit, but we do want to destroy the Koala, so we say other. Also up here we want to make sure we say other as well, because we're trying to see if the Koala is aligned, not the exit. Since the Koala is the other thing, the thing you collided with, then you have to say other. So make sure to mark that as other and this one as well. Next, you want to add one to lives. We're kind of misusing lives in this game. Instead of lives you have left, lives in this game, or this context, means lives you've saved. Once you've got all the koalas out of the room, then you can advance to the next room. So we're going to add one to lives then. That's on the score tab. And here we just say 1 relative. Put in a closing bracket, or close a block. See if there's anything else we need to do. No, looks like that's it. In the controller, you have to make sure that when the Koala leaves the room, you want to draw the number of lives they have in the room. So you draw the title, which is the rescue title. These are the coordinates for that. Where's that sprite? It's the one that looks like, yeah, this one, rescued. So to the right of, we're going to put this title on there, and then to the right of that, we're going to put pictures of how many koalas we've saved. Okay. And then all we have to do is provide the image that we're going to use to represent lives, and we're using the sprite koala stand, the one we already have. This is an absolute position, 150 to the right of the left side of the screen. So we don't say relative, it's a fixed position. Okay, so that's in the draw event of the controller. Now the only difference between the red exit and the blue is that in the blue exit, you only get to use it once, and then it disappears. So instead of just destroying the koala, you have to destroy both the koala and the blue itself, basically, the blue exit. Yeah, so these look very similar, right? They look very similar. The only difference is there's one extra destroy here. Got to make sure to include that. Now, how do you know whether you're good to go on to the next level? I think that's controlled by the controller, but let's find out. Yeah, it's here in the step event, I think, of the controller. You count out, you want to make sure there's no dead koalas and no live koalas. If that's the case, then you should sleep for 2 seconds. Make sure to say redraw on that, and then go to the next room. So make sure you have that step event in your controller. When you add the flying koalas need to be counted here as well. Thank you. If you're doing the flying koalas modification right here, you'll add a third one, which will count out the number of flying koalas and making sure that's 0 as well. What will happen if you don't do that, your last koala turns into a flying koala, and then the level ends. It goes on to the next level because you weren't counting the flying koalas either. So make sure when you add the flying koalas here at this controller, make sure to count those up and make sure those are 0 as well. The directions on how to do the flying koala are out in the shared folder. So if you haven't started that, you can take a look here. Here's some examples of the koalas. Here's the springs information. So you need to make the springs do that. Here's the flying koala. It's pretty gnarly. Yeah. And then the blue switch. This, you make the blue switches interact with the flying koalas, perhaps. When you add a new object to the game, you have to think about how this object will interact with all the other objects in the game. What should happen if a flying koala hits a koala? What should happen if a flying koala hits another flying koala? Do they merge? Do they go past each other? What happens? What happens when a flying koala goes over a switch? Does it flip the switch? How about over an exit? Well, the answer to these is answers you need to answer. You're the game developer. You could just not do anything, but then in some cases that's not going to make a lot of sense. So you have to think about the addition of the flying koala and then look at all the other objects to see how it's going to behave when it interacts with the other objects already in the game. All right, that's all I had.